Hello, Mount Runmore here, or just Nick, and I am back to talk about BB26. My last stream ended immediately after the veto meeting, where some madness happened. Fees basically came back on to a house meeting. I was just trying to piece together what was happening. Um, so yeah, that's basically where we start off in the aftermath of the veto meeting, where Tucker, despite winning the veto, did not use it on himself. He used it on Angela. Mackenzie went up. She activated her power, and America is going to vote for the replacement. So, I have been able to piece together more of what went down at that meeting, even though we don't actually see it properly until tonight. Tucker basically outs everything at the veto meeting slash house meeting. He reveals Quinn's power. He reveals that Kimo told him. He reveals that the plan all along was to backdoor Quinn. He claims Cedric tricked him into not using the veto on himself, which is not true. Cedric outright told him, use the veto on yourself, like a normal person should. He calls Quinn better at the game than he lets on, and he is furious at Cedric. So that is how the veto slash house meeting went. So Tucker tells Joseph, Kenny, and Leah Cedric is now his target, his main target. So that whole Ballers alliance that I wasn't thrilled about because it's an all guys alliance, including Kenny, I think we can safely call that one dead by now. Because, I mean, they're already turning on each other. Well, two of them are at least. But remember, all along, Cedric kind of wanted a way out because they were kind of caught. Like the group was found out, and Cedric found out that the group was found out, and he wanted to distance himself from them. Cedric talks to Cam, Tor, and Kimo, and says, "Whoever America picks is the pawn, and they should not be voted out." We shall see if that is true, considering some of the popular names, or one of the popular names, to be put up. Joseph tells Rabina they have to stick to the plan and vote out Kenny. Rabina asks if they still would if it's Tucker versus Kenny at the end of the week. And Joseph says, we'll have to discuss it. So, my fears about Tucker overplaying his hand are this close to becoming reality. So, yeah, that's something to be concerned about. Like, I'm more concerned about Tucker leaving. Like, I'm more concerned about Kenny leaving, Kenny staying than Tucker leaving. I do not want Kenny to survive this week. Not with all this talk about wanting to go home. Quinn apologizes to Joseph, Tikor, and Rabina about lying about his power. He says he only told Angela because she asked, and he was a have-not at the time, and he wanted to get in good with her because she was the HOH at that point. Joseph says, you're good. So that's one person in Quinn's favor, at least. Rabina is upset at Tucker for putting her in a rough spot because they've been really close for a while, and him going rogue like this has kind of made her collateral damage. Like, he doesn't care about his own mess. Like he's willing to live in the mess, but he does apologize to Rabina for putting her in a tough spot. And they start flirting a little more, like they've been doing for a while now. And some people are still keeping their eye on her just because of how close she is with him. So he's apologized for it, but it's still kind of a position where the association is probably not good for Rabina. Like Tucker has made himself a pretty big target with his maverick move, and if they can't get him, maybe they'll get Rabina. Quinn tells Joseph about the members of the Pentagon without actually naming the alliance outright. Joseph asks if Ticor and Kimo know about it, and Quinn says no. They know about the people working. They know about the people, but they don't really know the name of it. So this is kind of a lie. Tucker is just going around ranting and raving to everybody about Cedric. Confronts him about acting like he didn't know the plan, but Cedric doesn't deny that he knew about it. He was just like, I didn't want to do it. Because Cedric started to realize this plan wasn't going to be very good for him. And honestly, he kind of was in a no win situation because now Tucker is so angrily against him. Tucker says that Cedric told him not to use the veto on himself. Cedric says that's a lie, which it is. But Tucker still claims he was blindsided and tells Cedric that he's his target now. But Cedric does not match Tucker's energy. Cedric doesn't let this get into a big back and forth. And as a result, a good chunk of the house stays on Cedric's side. Quinn tells Cedric he's grateful for not putting him on the block, and he swears that he's loyal to the Pentagon. Bear in mind, he just told Joseph about them. Cedric has a later cam talk, and he tells us that he's good with Quinn again. I don't think the QC quality control final two is back on, but Cedric doesn't seem to be mad at him anymore. Brooklyn and Chelsea feel good about Quinn because he's going to use his power if he survives the week, and he'll keep them safe next week, which is a fair point. So that's Joseph, Brooklyn, and Chelsea that are team keep Quinn. So that's three. He needs at least three more because there's 11 votes this week, and it takes six. You get six people on your side, and you stay. Kenny tells Brooklyn that Cedric made a good point about how Tucker won't be the next HOH anyway because Quinn is just going to use his power. And I'm thinking, things are bad for Tucker when these two, Kenny and Brooklyn, are having a civil game conversation when they both kind of want each other out. In fact, they both really want each other out. Cedric, now this is a big one. Cedric says that if it's between Tucker and Kenny, he wants Tucker gone because he's the bigger threat. And if this is what ends up happening, if Tucker ends up leaving this week, this will go down as the worst overplay of all time. Like, like Marcellus would be off the hook for not using the veto on himself and being evicted. Like, Tucker was in such a good spot, and he did not need to go crazy like this. So, yeah, it's like I've been saying, it's not been a smart move for Tucker. Like, honestly, I've been trying to enjoy the chaos, but I just haven't been able to get past how stupid and unnecessary it all is. Tucker did not need to do this. Joseph tells Cedric that, I'm on your side. If Tucker's coming for you, then I'm coming for Tucker. And he says that Tucker really effed himself, which, again, may not be wrong. We shall see. Joseph has a Cam talk. Again, when I say a Cam talk, I don't mean talking to Cam. Next year, can we please not have a Cameron or a Cam, please? It's two in a row. And last year's was creepy, and this year's is not really doing anything. But anyway, Joseph talks to the camera, and he's lamenting his alliance choices. Matt was terrible at the game. Angela is a mess. Tucker blew up Quinn's spot, and Quinn is a rat. So he makes a good point. You know, you sure can pick him, can't you, Joseph? This is something a lot of people were thinking for a while about how Kimo didn't tell T-Core that he knew about Quinn's power. And T-Core is disappointed by Kimo for not telling her. And at this point, I have to really take back the whole Kimo got away with it comment. When I made that comment, I was not yet aware that Tucker revealed that fact, if it had even happened yet, because I was doing my last stream during the veto meeting, basically. Kino got away with it for a while, but now he's been found out that he was the leak, and T-Core's disappointed in him. And, she's a little hurt by this, but later on they do start to talk civilly again. And I don't believe Kimo did it out of malice. Again, I think he did it because he has a crush on Tucker. Brooklyn and Chelsea talk. They still want Kenny gone. And it's looking like they have the numbers to pull this off. So, them and Cam, the Pentagon members who are definitely going to be voting this week. Uh, T-Core and Kimo, probably. Joseph, if Tucker wins the AI arena. Maybe Rubina, maybe not. They might need to put some work in on her. And also, if it's Tucker versus Quinn, then she's voting Quinn out. I just need Kenny to not win the AI arena. That's all. That's all I need. But yeah, it's the two of them, Cam, probably T Core and Chemo, and Joseph if Tucker wins the AI arena. So Tucker wins it, then and if assuming Quinn is the other nominee. Again, we're all just assuming that at this point, but we don't know yet. But if that is the case, if it ends up being Quinn versus Kenny, I think Quinn has just enough to stay. Brooklyn talks to Kenny about his fears of an all women's alliance. And he tries to downplay it and also says that T Core was going to be a nominee, and T Core is there for this. It's like, okay. You know what I love? A lot of people assumed that Kenny would go for T-Core, and here he is admitting, yeah, I was gonna put her up. I mean, I do think Brooklyn was probably his target, but he's he was gonna put up T-Core. It's like, okay, they don't really talk game, but he doesn't really talk game with anybody. He talked game with Matt. That was about it. Now it's kind of Tucker a little bit. Okay, I just got an email saying that a video cannot be monetized, and it's a video I uploaded in like 2011. Wow. So yeah, Kenny not endearing himself again to the women, and that's why I still think Rubina is a possibility to vote him out. Like if it comes down to Kenny versus Quinn, I think Rubina might be able to be convinced by the other women to vote Kenny out, just because of how I'll say it anti-woman he is. He's at least anti-woman's alliance, and he's just gonna try to make sure that doesn't happen. And by the way, it's not happening. Like a couple women have talked about it, but it's not all the women in the house. And most of the women have their own deals with some of the men. So even if it did form, the odds of them all being loyal to it anyway are probably pretty low. Um, this was an interesting one said by Tucker. He says that Kenny was warned by production to stop saying he wants to go home, or they're just going to throw him out without paying him. And I'm like, finally. And this would possibly explain why Kenny's head has been in the game a little bit more recently. He just, it's not that he wants to stay, he just wants to make sure he gets paid. So we get another collective meeting, except T-Core and Kimo aren't there. They agree that Quinn should use his power next week. They should keep him around and he should use his power. Yeah, Joseph, I think, is not voting out Quinn under any circumstances, now that I think about it. So, yeah. Yeah, Joseph is not voting for Quinn, I don't think. So, just going back a little Brooklyn, Chelsea, Cam, Joseph, T-Core, and Chemo, which is the collective, plus Quinn. And also Brooklyn is. Oh, yeah, no, I included Brooklyn, sorry. She's now in the collective. So, the collective has the numbers if they stay united. To keep Quinn. But anyway, they agree Quinn should use his power next week, and among someone among the following people, of course, it depends on who's still here: Angela, Kenny, Tucker, Mackenzie, Leah. Kenny's the most likely one to leave of that group, but there is a universe in which Tucker leaves. If Kenny actually wins the AI arena, assuming he doesn't throw it, which, he might do because he's Kenny. Which is funny because Tucker was talking about possibly throwing it to Kenny if he could. So if they're trying to throw it to each other, then Quinn can just swoop right in and win it on his own, and then he doesn't even have to worry about it. Oh, just found a typo. Sorry. So that's what the collective's plan is. So this alliance is actually starting to really come back to life, and it's like they might actually become a dominant presence if they can actually stick together and trust each other. Like if they keep Quinn and he uses his HOH power next week to protect them all, then I think this group will actually be locked in for good. Brooklyn and Chelsea stay close to Mackenzie and Leah to keep up the facade that they're working with them when really Mackenzie and Leah are just very low on the totem pole in this house. And now they don't even have Mackenzie's power as like a thing dangling over any HOH. Like they are most definitely both vulnerable now. And vulnerable next week in particular, especially if Quinn were to win. I mean, he's going if Quinn were to stay, he's going to be the next HOH if he's still in this house. It's just, Mackenzie and Leah, they're just not doing much other than being the only ones who would vote out Quinn if he's America's choice. Like the only ones who would definitely vote him out. Like if he's voted onto the block by America and he's still up there, they would probably vote to take him out. I think Tucker would. I think Tucker or Kenny would if one of them were to win. Well, if Quinn's on the block, then one of them won the AI arena, and I think they would vote out Quinn. Uh, Leah argues with Cam over nothing really. She's just it's like she wants to be with Cam and she also just doesn't get along with him at all anymore. And I'm like, girl, you really need to get your head in the game. Mackenzie's power is gone. There is nothing protecting you anymore. You both actually have to play the game now. And I gotta say, Leah, you're not doing a great job because you've really only been trying to get close to Cam recently, and now you're not really getting along with him too well. So, what exactly is your plan here? Joseph and Quinn both think they might be voted onto the block. And I will say Joseph is like the second most common name after Quinn. So, not impossible. Quinn promises Cedric that if he is picked, he's gunning for the AI arena. He's going to do everything he can to win it. 1 second, please. Oh, sorry. 1 moment, please. Sorry about that. Speaking of people Leah is mad at, it's not just Cam. It's also Quinn, someone else she got close to and has now turned on. There's only so many times you could do that in this game. I'm just saying. She tells other people about the final two they made, and now she wants to get rid of them. And she even manages to convert Rabina into wanting to vote him out. And Rabina would definitely vote him out if it comes down to him versus Tucker. So, so yeah, Quinn's window is closing a little bit. He really needs the collective to stay on his side. If he can keep the collective fully on his side, he will stay. T-Core is actually more upset by all of Quinn's final twos than she is about his power. Like she has said like I can understand not wanting to tell people when you have a power, which personally I think he shouldn't have done ever. He should have just kept it to himself. Rabina talks to T-Core about working with Tucker and just ditching Quinn completely. Mackenzie talks to Chelsea about working closer with people like Tucker and Cam and cutting Leah and Rabina loose. So yeah, Mackenzie and Leah don't seem to get along anymore. So that's another relationship that Leah has ruined. Like I've actually started to realize Leah is a worse player at this game than Mackenzie because Mackenzie she had two strong bonds, Matt and Leah. Matt's gone, and Leah has been sinking every other bond she has had. So who's to say Leah's not responsible for this friendship falling apart now? So yeah, I think I can safely say Leah may be the worst of the two. Chelsea tells T-Core about it. T-Core tells Rabina that she's being excluded from this group that's forming. So that might be a way of T-Core reeling Rabina back to her side, and possibly to the side of keeping Quinn. Kimo and Tucker are in a room together, and they reaffirm that they're good with each other. And they have a hug. And they keep hugging, and hugging, and hugging, and hugging. It's a very long hug. It's a very awkward hug. Cam walks in during this hug, and that doesn't even stop the hug. So, but again, Kimo likes Tucker. So, he's just going to enjoy it as long as he can. You know what I find kind of funny? Kimo has this, like, teenage crush on Tucker. And Kimo is 35 years old. He is, I believe he is the tied for the third oldest person in the house. Like, him and Rabina are both 35, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know which of the two is older, but yeah, Kimo is either the third or fourth oldest person in that house, and he's having this teenage crush. It's honestly kind of adorable in a way, but also it's weird. All I can say is Tucker does seem a little sexually ambiguous, so I'm I'm gonna be like I'm gonna give Kimo like Jim Carrey at the end of Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance? Like, yes, Kimo, I'm telling you there's a chance. Maybe one in a million, but I think there's a chance. So we get a camera talk from Quinn. Maybe Cam needs to leave soon. Quinn says he wants a final two with Brooklyn. That might be tricky considering he's been caught with a lot of other final twos, and him and Brooklyn is like the only final two he hasn't made yet. He knows Rabina is mad at him, and he says he has to check in with Kimo and T-Core. And he does do so. He says that he thinks he's going to go up. They tell him about Mackenzie's alliance plans. Sorry, I have the hiccups. So yeah, Kimo and T-Core tell him about Mackenzie's alliance plan. That involves cutting Quinn loose. He slips up and tells them about the Pentagon, but he doesn't say who they are. And I'm like, at this point, it's best to just admit it. You slipped up. You're caught. Just tell them. Because by not telling them the names, it's going to make them trust you less. And you really cannot afford to lose their votes right now. Like, he needs the combined votes of the collective and the visionaries. I mean, the visionaries are part of the collective. Scratch that. He needs the collective this week to stay alive. Like if he doesn't win the AI arena, he needs them to stay in this house. Kimo and Tor talk. They agree that they need to talk to Quinn a little more forcefully about all his final twos. Of course, they have a tendency to talk about doing stuff without ever actually doing it, and it's like, I like both of them, and I want to see them be a little more proactive. But playing as passively as they are, it's not gonna, it's not gonna get them the win. And considering they're both on my draft team, I kind of have a vested interest in them doing well. But they still want to work with Quinn, so it seems like they're still on board with keeping him. And I think the fact that he has this power and he will absolutely use it to protect them, protect the whole group if they protect him this week. I think that might be just enough for them to not vote him out. Also, Quinn is a sleepwalker and sleep talker, which is weird. And another reason that I would never be on Big Brother because if I talk in my sleep, I don't want to find out from countless people on the internet who saw me do it on the show, and I'll just be mortified, and I'll feel so weird about that, and I don't think I'd be able to live with it. And when he's sleepwalking, he kind of stands over Rabina's bed, and it looked like he kind of reached out and touched her, but she kind of jolted awake, and that seemed to snap him out of it. I don't know if he actually touched her, but uh, I hope not, because I get it wouldn't really be his fault, but still kind of creepy. I don't. I mean, like I said, he was seemingly sleepwalking, so it probably again wasn't malicious. And then Mackenzie. This was an interesting conversation. Mackenzie is just out in the open talking to some people, and she says she misses her brother, and it's like, okay, yeah, everyone's missing their families, nothing weird about that. But here's where it gets weird. She hates that she has to marry another man because her brother is her soulmate. In case you forgot, Mackenzie is from the South. Uh, the South is never beating the allegations. Never. Just why would you say that out loud? Honestly, like, what has your life been like that you never learned that that is a very unhinged thing to say in public and with cameras on you? So, there is going to be a bonus episode on Tuesday night. It is going to have Taylor, and to a lesser extent, fellow winners Jag and Cody Cauliflower. They are going to analyze what's gone down this season, like talk about all the big fights. And my first thought was, isn't it a little early for this? Like, it only just started. We're not even a month in. Like, it's only week 3, and when they have this episode, it'll only be week 4. I mean, I hope there's another fight to better fill the time. But I just think it's kind of an early time for this kind of episode. But it's also going to reveal the next twist with this whole AI thing. So this might be one of those where it's only like the last 5 minutes of the episode is actually worth watching. And I'm trying to decide if my love for Taylor outweighs my hate of Jag and Cody Cauliflower. So I should probably watch it. You know what? I think I'll I'll watch it, but I think I might just record it for my dad and have him only watch the relevant part. So that's where everything stands right now. I still want Kenny gone. And so does he, because at one point he said he should leave over Tucker. Here's how bad a game Kenny is playing. Kenny is playing so bad. I was trying to decide whether Mackenzie or Leah was the worst player in this game because I forgot Kenny was here. That's how bad he is. And finally, my last note, Angela kind of sat this one out. Can you believe it? She's been staying quiet, which was definitely a smart move on her part. I mean, she's been public enemy number one for a while, but now Tucker has decided to take over the main character energy, and she's just letting him paint the target on himself and also paint targets on some other people. She finally got to see what madness looks like. And from the outside looking in, she realizes maybe it's not a bad idea to shut up once in a while. But if Quinn stays, he is the next HOH. And her peace is likely to be short lived. Because I think Quinn is certainly going to nominate her. And I think he may want Tucker out possibly a little bit more just because he's such a big threat already. But Tucker might be a little tricky to get out of the house. So he might settle for Angela. So Angela got this week off basically, or at least this part of the week ever since Tucker used the veto on her instead of himself like a madman. I have hiccups again. So yeah, Angela's just kind of chilling now. And now to check for any more updates. It has been kind of a slow last 2 days. Like Monday was where everything let up, but yesterday and today they've been pretty slow so far. Well, let's see what I missed, if anything. Okay, nothing on my main timeline. Next up, BB updates. By the way, like my Heisenberg shirt, because I do. All right, BB updates isn't updating today. Every time I stream, I'm just in a dry spell of BB updates tweets. Almost every time. Last time they were pretty helpful. What? So I just checked Hamster Watch. Another tour of Cam's dirty socks with Chelsea. Told you it was a slow day. Alright, now I'll check the hashtag. Yeah, just a lot of people still joking about Mackenzie and her creepy love for her brother. Is that why she's on Big Brother? I mean, if he's older than her, is that why she's on this show? It's like, oh, maybe this is a show about siblings who really love each other. Ooh, I almost spilled my water right onto a TV. That would have been bad. There. Now there's no water left to spill. Yeah, and there's also some talk about Chelsea going through Cam's clothes. Yeah, there's a fair amount of people campaigning to get Joseph nominated for the block tomorrow, but a lot of people have made the point that it really comes down to the edit. You know, it's whoever the show depicts in the most negative light. Obviously, it would be Angela, but the veto was just used on her, so there's no way she's going to be an option. Like, that really wouldn't be fair. I don't even like Angela that much, and even I'm like, that would not be fair. But if Angela was an option, then 100% she would be put up. It just depends on who looks worst in the episode tonight. So, we shall see. And I still haven't even really heard what the competition was, what the veto competition was, so that's going to be interesting for me to find out. I have heard whispers that it was another physical one, which is why Tucker won it, but we shall see. And we shall see what happens with the AI arena tomorrow. The only scenario I can really like make an accurate guess of is if it's Kenny versus Tucker, because that's they're the two nominees right now. We don't know who the third one's going to be, so that's the only one I can really think about right now. So let's just go through that really quick as to how the votes would go. Well, I think Joseph is pretty anti-Tucker at this point. Robina and Angela are definitely pro-Tucker. Um, it's kind of hard to guess. I honestly don't know. Cedric is not thrilled at Tucker, so if he's able to convince the rest of the Pentagon, then I don't even remember. Okay, so Cedric can convince the Pentagon. That's 5 for Tucker to leave. Mackenzie wants to work with Tucker, And Leah probably also does. This is tough. It's hard to say. But you know what? That's actually kind of a good thing because I like not knowing. I like being surprised. Even if I still really want Kenny to leave because he adds nothing to this game. So, on some level, I hope Tucker wins the AI arena. And if Quinn's not the third nominee, then I think if Tucker wins and it's not Quinn who's the third nominee, then Kenny's a goner. And even if it is Quinn, I think Quinn has a decent shot at surviving. But yeah, it's hard to tell at this point. Oh, I forgot T-Core and Kimo. Kimo would want to keep Tucker because he has a crush on him, so that's 5-5. So that just leaves T-Core. You know what? I think T-Core would. No. No, Kenny said to her face he'd nominate her, so I think that's 6-5 for Kenny to leave. Yeah, that's what I think. All right, that'll do it for this stream. Thank you to my one viewer for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at NickRhymesYT, where I have links to my Twitch channel and my YouTube channel. You can see all my old streams on YouTube. And you can just follow me on Twitter to get my thoughts on Big Brother stuff as it happens. So that'll do it for this stream, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.